Hello, everyone, again, and welcome to On Tour. It's a cricket program that looks back at the West Indies tour of South Africa. I'm Barry Wilkinson. With me, of course, Ed Rainsford, all the way in Zimbabwe, and Tino Best in Barbados. Gentlemen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and to you fans, but the West Indies indeed did go down by 87 runs today in the Centurion. After Kemar Roach bowled so beautifully, the Windies just cannot sustain it in terms of their batting and set a victory target of 247. The Windies were shut out for 159 despite a very good innings, or perhaps an effort, I should say, by their vice-captain, Jermaine Blackwood. Other than that, the batting was pretty disappointing, you would have to say, and the Windies were up against the behind the eight ball, and they just capitulated. Rabada back in some form, and some other good things for South Africa. But let's look at the scorecard quickly. This is the scorecard that tells the story, and the scorecard is saying, of course, 342 by the South Africans in their first innings, and 116. You would believe that Kemar Roach bowled the West Indies back into contention. They were 40 for 4 overnight, and he bowled so well to limit the West Indies, to the South Africans, correction, to 116. It's only his 13th fifth wicket haul, but his first since 2017 overseas, so he'll be happy with that. The Windies, 212, and that victory target, like I said, 247, was always going to be tricky. Anything above 220, I said yesterday, I thought the West Indies would have struggled. And what would you know? They could have even declared overnight, and the South Africans might have still won, because they were leading by 179 overnight, and the Windies were bowled up for 159. Let's get a quick comment from the two gentlemen before we look at the highlights. Ed, first of all, South Africa winning the first test. They do quite well at Centurion, and that has continued.
Yeah, it's a stomping ground for South Africa Centurion. They rarely lose there. I was reading an interesting stat. Out of the last 7 test matches, when they've scored 300 in the first innings, they haven't lost a test match at Centurion. But as much as they got the runs, I think the bowlers won the game for them. I think their bowlers were very good. Andrik Nokia picking up 5 in the first innings, and then, Kagiso Rabada, you think is the leader of the side, but he's only just 27. He's definitely the leader, but he's only 27. And he picked up his 13th five-man test cricket and is 14 wickets away from 300 test wickets. Can you believe it? At the age of 27. So South Africa, convincing at Centurion. I just thought perhaps the West Indies would have probably fought a little bit harder, just thinking about that 247 they needed to chase down.
Tino, it's interesting that he brought that stat, because you compare it and contrast it with Kemar Roach, who also picked up his 13th 5-wicket haul today. But he is 34. Rabada is 27. Rabada has a couple more wickets than him and is eagerly getting towards 300. So it's quite interesting that you've got a compare and contrast of two men who have just picked up their 13th 5-wicket haul and are leading their bowling attack, but one is some 7 years older than the other. How do you look at this test match, and how disappointing would it be for the West Indies?
Yeah, guys, let me start off with the positives. I love to start with positives. Life is all about the positive energy. Look, I thought Raymond Reefer batted really well for the West Indies, given that he's not a natural number 3, but he's molding his game into that type of player. So kudos to him in the first innings. I thought the West Indies in young Azari Joseph bowled with heart, bowled with passion in the first innings. And then obviously the second innings, when the West Indies got the opportunity to bowl, I thought Kemar Roach showed its class once again and led the attack. But cricket is all about numbers, and cricket is all about sessions as well. When you're looking to dominate, or you're looking to start a test match positively. And the West Indies lost that test match in the first 2 sessions of the first day. And I always hear this, having the opportunity to play test cricket and being around for a while, your coach, that night before the game, you're in that team meeting, the analyst can give you all the facts, all the stats you need. And the coach always say, we have to start the test match positively. Win those sessions, win those first 2 sessions, either if it's with the ball or with the bat. And I thought West Indies lost the test match in those first 2 sessions on the first day, Barry.
That's very interesting. We're going to look at that comment, Tino, a bit later on for sure in the program. But first of all, let's have a look at the highlights and look at how the West Indies bowled themselves back into contention. Like I said, 40 for 4 overnight were the South Africans after making 342. Here's a look at how things went down on day 3.
Similar kind of technique. And there's a wicket. There's the initial breakthrough. Wonderful from Jason Holder. You can see the disappointment from Klaasen. He curses as he walks away. And this is exactly what the West Indies were after. Could they get their 5th? Could they get that early breakthrough? They have.
Oh, that's a beautiful delivery. Too good, I think. Bowling. Wonderful bowling. Good length. Oopsie. Oopsie. Is he all right? He's fine. He's fine. It's a wonderful nut. Wide again. Straightening again. Too good for Janssen.
Yeah, top of off again. We've talked about that all the way through this game. It's leg cut. Usually with Kemar Roach, you expect most deliveries to come sliding in at you as a right-hander. Most, not all.
Oh, down the leg side, and it's out, is it? Well, West Indies think so. Yes, and it's given out. Almost as if the umpire, Damasceno, was waiting for the batsman to walk. Even worse, probably, than the bottom of the bat, and it hurts your hands because it ricochets through this place. And well, they think, yep, they think he's hit it, and that's because he has hit it. He's walking off. I wonder if they're going to check for the no ball. Are they? What's Moreira Erasmus doing?
Yeah, they have checked and he got the nod. So that's A-OK, and they've picked up their 9th.
That's a very good delivery. That's a wonderful delivery. Roach likes it a lot.
Ray, we have a spike on the bat. I'll get you to change the decision to out. You're on screen now.
Big moment. Big moment for Kemar Roach. That is brilliant stuff. Superbly bowled.
Yeah, an 11th 5-wicket haul for the great man. He's picked up the slack. He's gotten the ball to nip in, and more so today to straighten off the seam to a number of batters. His first 5-wicket haul away from home since 2017, Lords in England.
It's so important to hit the surface.
It's a big shout behind. I think that's off the pad, though. Bavuma just joins the appeal at the end. He's asking questions. There he is, the captain. Is he sending upstairs? He is.
Rock and rolling that. Yep. And there, we've got the ball on bat and a spike.
Good catch. Really good catch. It's Rabada again.
Straight up in the air. Nokia takes the catch. Something's happened.
Yeah, fantastic catch taken by Andrich Nokia.
Bowled him! First ball! It's come back in! Oh, what an error of judgment!
Yeah, he doesn't stay out there for any amount of time. There's lost in chase.
Ball.
Gone! A beautiful delivery. Gets up because of the extra effort from Kotea. And it's Mayer's gone.
What can I tell us? That's nicely played. There is a sweeper out there, but he's going to beat the big fella, and it goes for 4.
Yeah, this is beautifully played.
That's nicely played. Gone airborne. And gone airborne a long way. 6 runs.
That we didn't think. I actually thought it was a bone at first.
More good counter-attacking here from Jermaine Blackwood if you're just turning on. Tamsin Brits is with me in the commentary box, but we're celebrating a great 50 here from Jermaine Blackwood. A great maybe an exaggeration, but in its way it is, given how everybody else has found batting so hard on this pitch to score a run of ball. That is out, caught at slip by Keegan Peterson. And Joshua Da Silva pays the price, as a few have, feeling for the ball outside off stump.
Noticed that during the SA20. Oh, there's a nick. Picked him up. Brilliant stuff. Rabada's got himself 4 now. This is really good work from Rabada.
Gone for it. Gone for it. Rabada takes the catch. Another one down.
Rabada's now into his 8th over in the spell. 9th over, actually. And he's got his fifer. Eventually, he is rewarded for his patience. It loops hard off a length, bounces steeply, and it takes Blackwood's gloves, I think, pops into Markram's hands, and Kagiso Rabada has got himself 5 again.
Jamal Roach on strike. Ask, yep, he gets it. South Africa win. And KG Rabada, with his 6-wicket haul, is the star of the show.
All right, so good stuff with South Africa. Congratulations to them. The Windies, like I said, shot out for 159, defeated in 3 days, 2.5 days really, and losing by 87 runs. Still another test left, but they'll be very disappointed by what happened there. Ed, I come back to you and I start with you and look at the not only that Centurion record that the South Africans have, but what was it that the West Indians perhaps did wrong in their approach to 247? Because generally, when you look at that, yeah, it's a second innings target, but it is still not too big. It's not a 350 or 400. What did the Windies do wrong there?
Well, first of all, you've got to look at the pitch itself. That almost every delivery looked as if it was going to misbehave now and again, and each ball almost had a number on a batsman. So one ball was always going to try and get you out or cause you concern every sort of 18 to 24 deliveries. And the way Jerome Blackwood batted, and he got 79 off 93. That's very positive for Test cricket, and you're looking to try and take down a target. I feel one or two other players, and I mentioned it yesterday when we were on together, that perhaps a Jason Holder, a Kyle Mayers could have done the same thing. I think when you're in that particular situation, you become a bit of a sitting duck to what is a very lively pitch, and a pitch that has a little bit in it all the time. So for me, I think the West Indies could have been a little bit more positive in the way Blackwood showed how positive he was with the bat, and some other 2 or 3 other batters could have gone on with him and prevent those sort of deliveries happening all the time, or happening every 12 to 24 deliveries.
I come to you, Tino, I asked you this particular question in regards to Jermaine Blackwood. How is it that this man, who's been so positive for so many years, who has looked to me to be the most balanced in terms of attacking plus defense at times, has only played 3 or 4 one internationals for the West Indies? It's unbelievable. Why hasn't this man, I mean, look at his innings now, why has he not played more ODI cricket for the West Indies? What has he done so wrong? Because he looks like the perfect ODI cricketer to me.
Yeah, I'm just as dumbfounded as you, Barry. Listen, look, Jermaine Blackwood is always a positive player. Having conversations with him, able to interact with him around his CPL and stuff. I always tell him all the time, look, back yourself, young man. Keep backing yourself. And that is what the West Indies batting needed today. They needed someone to just hang in and be positive, play shots, back yourself. And having Brian Lara in that dressing room, I was lost for words, because Brian is a guy who captained me, and he will always tell the Gales, the Sarwans, even though Ricardo Powell, Dwayne Smith, be positive, back yourself, play shots, and be selective, but don't be a sitting duck. And I thought that's how the West Indies batting was today. They were just sitting ducks. Only boy that was positive was Blackwood, who backed himself, who played shots. And when you're facing arguably one of the greatest fast bowlers to ever come out of South Africa in Rabada, and when you look at the greats that have come out to South Africa, Arnold Donald, Makaya Intini, Dale Steyn, who I think is after Malcolm Marshall and Ambrose, I got him at number 3 as the greatest fast bowler of all times. look, you got to say to yourself, you've got to be positive against Rabada. And I just thought that the West Indies weren't, and Rabada just eat them like, whoa. I mean, he was hungry. He was looking to make sure. And that's what you want to see. He saw Nokia got his fight for the first innings, and Rabada was saying, listen, guy, I'm a couple wickets away from 300. I'm the big dog. Let me lead from the front. And that is exactly what Kemar Roach did as well. So you see, as Ed said, the bowling on both sides are their strengths. And the batting is always going to be the weakness. So it's always going to be batters versus the bowlers on either side. So, and the West Indies came second best today. But Blackwood, phenomenal talent, a guy that backs himself. And I just think that he should get more opportunities now, knowing that there's a new captain, there's a new leader, and there's a new Jamaican leading the one days, or is it Shea? Am I right? Either or. Which one leads the one days and the 20?
I was just going to say that. Why isn't Shea Hope playing in the test side? Surely, as someone who's technically correct and is now your ODI captain, surely you've got no space for him in the test side?
No, he's not done well when given the opportunity.
Nah, I don't think that, because the ball does a bit more. I find, look, with the white ball, Ed, you know this. With the white ball, the ball doesn't do much, brother. But with that red ball, look at him. If you go and pull some files on him in playing those 2 test matches against South Africa here in the Caribbean, shit didn't look good at all, brother. So
all I'm saying is, my question is, would you not slot him in with a Blackwood in that middle order?
No, I think that the batting that West Indies have right now is decent. I think that good. Guys just got to back themselves. I think that Ray Marifa at 3 gives the team that stability in those 4, 5, 6 batters. We need for Roston Chase to come good. We need for Kalmeers not to play a quick 40 or an amazing 60. We need him to get big scores. Jason Holder has to make up in his mind if he wants to play Test cricket or if he wants to play franchise cricket for $1 million all around the world. So we need Brian Lara to get into those guys' head. Look, Lara said it perfectly in one of those interviews. He said, where's the passion for West Indies cricket? Everybody has passion for all the leagues, but not West Indies cricket. We have to get back to guys playing guys who wants to play for West Indies. And Ray Marifa wants to play for West Indies. Blackwood wants to play for West Indies. I'm not too sure if Jason Holder, being 31, 32, it still has the hunger to play Test cricket. That's all I'm saying.
I want to come talk about hunger. I want to come and ask Ed this question because people tend to be so critical of everyone. People were saying Kagiso Rabada, he's gone off the boil. This man never went off any boil. He probably didn't get a 5-wicket haul. His last 5-wicket haul was in England in August, but he had 3 4-wicket hauls in between. He's been picking up wickets. So what off the boil? Well, I think we were fooled that he's not bowling as well. He got a 6 for today. What makes him so good? Because he is definitely, I don't want to say prodigious because he's still 27. He's played since 2015, so he's not really at the prodigious level, but he's just very consistent. He picks up wickets all the time. This man is no spring chicken to cricket, and I think he needs his papers. We need to stop saying he's got off the boil.
Yeah, I think if you say Kagiso Rabada has gone off the boil, it's at your detriment. That guy knows when to turn it on. He knows exactly how his body is built. He knows exactly what his workloads are. Barring injury, he knows when he needs to put his hand up. He knows when he needs to lead the attack. He knows when he needs to be effective. He knows when he needs to make something happen, and he'll ask for the ball, and he will make something happen. Kagiso Rabada is a cricketer, and he'll continue doing that for South Africa for many years to come. Whoever says he's gone off the boil, you've got to be very, very, very watchful.
Yeah, man. Listen, Bahrain. Honestly, right, Bahrain. As a man, I am a student of fast bowling. I love fast bowlers, and Rabada. Look, when I think about South Africa fast bowlers, I think about Arnold Donald, right? White Lightning. You think about the pace of Arnold Donald. You think about the stamina of Makaya 18. You think about the skill of Sean Pollock, and then you think about the brilliance of Dale Steyn. But to be fair, Rabada is number 2 to me on that list, bro. Like, and he's only 27. Dale Steyn is number 1 to me. Rabada number 2. Those are my first two. If you're going to pick, Makai Ntini is one of my favorite cricketers of all times. But when I look at the record that Rabada has at 27, I think right now he's like their number 2 of all time. He's on that list. I'm going to give him his papers because
it's scary. It is scary. This Rabada is scary. You're talking about a 27-year-old Tino who's almost got
nearly
300
wickets
test
already.
wickets.
Test wickets, yeah. It's crazy,
are you
bro.
serious?
And
I mean, come on.
The one thing you also need to realize about Kagiso Rabada, and I touch wood about this, is that he is someone that spends a lot of time on his fitness. Is someone that spends a lot of time on remaining fit and having a great deal of match freshness about him. So you're not going to get rid of him anytime soon in terms of his body type as well. He's just built to bowl, and he's built to be out there and be as effective as he can. And like you say, he's 27. I think Kagiso Rabada, when he was 23, realized what he needs to do as a cricketer, as a bowler, as a test match cricketer, as a one-day cricketer, as a T20 cricketer, what he needs to do. He figured that out. And some cricketers, it takes them until the age of 28 when they grow into their bodies and have that cricket maturity. He got that probably 4 or 5 years ago. So he's ahead of everyone at this particular stage of his life. And he's going to continue to do this for a long time, barring injury. And you're going to continue to enjoy Kagiso Rabada. My only concern is that the amount of test cricket that's going to be played over the next cycle of the FTP, how much test match cricket we're going to see from Kagiso Rabada and some of these great players, for him to get to that 300 test wickets, for him to get to 350 and 400. And I'll agree with Tino. I think he'll be number 2 on the list when it comes to great fast bowlers coming out of South Africa. I think Dale Steyn will just remain, in my books, the greatest fast bowler ever that I've seen. I've never seen Malcolm Marshall bowl.
No. We won't argue with that, brother. We won't
argue with that. I haven't seen him bowl.
I would tell you this, brother. I had the opportunity to see Malcolm Marshall. I grew up in a Barbados and West Indies dressing room from like 1986, 87 behind my Uncle Carlisle. And Malcolm Marshall is the GOAT, the greatest that ever took up a ball and bowled it. Number 2 is Sir Curtly Ambrose, man. And then I got Dale Steyn and anybody else after that. But why I rate Dale Steyn as the modern day GOAT, way and miles ahead of like Anderson and the Broads and all them fellas, is this. He played in the era with flat wickets and big bats. And he absolutely destroyed everybody. That is brilliant.
All right, look, gentlemen, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at our players of the day. I've got mine for sure. But we look at our players of the day and then take a wrap until perhaps we look back at look forward again to the second test. Stay with us. Windies in the land of put up your hands. Windies in the land of put up your hands. All right, we're back for On Tour. Like I said, unfortunately, the Windies going down by some 87 runs, but Ed is still here with us, and Tino Best. We look at our player of the day and our overall player of the match. Well, I'm going to start first of all with you, Tino. Your player of the day, and who was your player or pick for your player of the match?
Well, obviously the old pro Inky Maroch, I thought he really put West Indies on his back today and led from the front and give them a sniff or an opportunity for his batters to get 247 runs. But I thought that the West Indies lost this test match from the first 2 sessions on the first day, led by that incredible 100 from Markham, and then obviously scoring 47 in the second innings as well. And to score those runs on this surface, I thought that was an incredible effort, and he is my man of the match. And I thought that he coming back into the team, winning the SA20. Now he's the new captain of Sunrisers under Brian Lara as the head coach. I thought he led from the front, and he's really hungry. You can see that hunger for the test game, and he's one of those players that took the game from the West Indies. He's one of them that's going to probably look forward to the second test that West Indies have to get out. He is the leader. He's the big dog in that batting lineup. West Indies have to remove him very early in the second test.
Very well said. I agree with that. What about you, Ed?
Oh, so my player of the match, I agree with Tino, would be Aidan Markram. His 115 really set it up for South Africa on what was a lively pitch where the bowlers had a lot of the say in the particular test match. So to get 100 on that particular pitch, I think I have to take my hat off to him. And that really set it up for South Africa. And I think the West Indies needed someone else to get 100, but the only 100 in the test match and a 47 to carry it on in the second innings. For me, that's the player of the match from my point of view. And my player of the day would be Kagiso Rabada. He's 6 for 50 in the fourth innings to pick up 6 wickets. He's 13th fifer in Test cricket. For me, that's also my player of the day to complement Markram, because in the fourth innings, if someone else doesn't put the hand up as Kumar Roach did in the second innings, West Indies get closer to that target and potentially win the match. So the leader of the attack put his hand up and picked up 6 wickets, not just 5.
All right, I tend to go with Tino on this one, mainly because I understand that West Indies team like no one else. And I didn't have faith, to be quite honest, I'm sorry to say. I didn't have faith in them getting 247 to win. And I honestly thought that Rabada, Norkia, I honestly thought it was food for them. It was like, this is a baby, this is candy, it's there for the taking. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not criticizing my own. So my player of the day, I say that to say this, my player of the day definitely is Kumar Roach, because you had to still come and bowl properly to give West Indies a chance. They could have easily scored 175, 200 runs, and we were looking at anything over 300. But Kumar Roach bowled this morning with such vigor and purpose and skill. He is definitely my player of the day, and I'm really sorry he's on the losing end. Player of the match, Aidan Markram. This man batted superbly. To me, this might sound silly, but I'll say it. The century was fine, but that little innings of 47 was not easy. You had wickets falling around you, and you also had to still be positive to score with the tail. So he was skillful in both innings. A century, brilliant, but that little innings of 47 proved crucial, because if he had fallen into the trap of all of those low scores so high, then they might have only been chasing 150, 160. So Markram, come to the top of the class. I give you the player of the match. You deserve that. But Tino, I'll stick with you with the one with Kumar Roach. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. All the advice I will go for the West Indies staff and the boys down in South Africa is this: look, if you start with the bat, the second test, those first 2 sessions have to be positive with the bat, and if with the ball, you got the blueprint of the first test. You got to start a lot better, because if the West Indies restricted South Africa the first innings, like how they restricted them in the second innings, we're having a whole different conversation here. But you have to start positive with the bat and the ball whenever the opportunity arises for that West Indies going into that second test at the Wonders, right? I think it's at the Wonders. So I wish you guys all the best. West Indies.
No,
the
second test is in Johannesburg.
Joburg, yeah.
Yes,
okay,
the Wonders.
at the Bull Ring. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, the Wonders. Yeah,
the Wonders.
Bull Ring. The ball travels there, Barry, like whoa. So there's going to be guys are going to bowl quick there, because it's 10,000 feet above or 9,000 feet above sea level. So the ball is going to travel there. So I'm looking forward to watching this test match.
All right.
Well, West Indies haven't played a test match there since 2003, and that test match Brian Lara got 202. So, and in the last test matches,
you know what is
6.
interesting? What is interesting, Ed, is that if you can't predict life, because that's 20 years ago. And if somebody was to look into the future 20 years on and saw Brian Lara in West Indies colours, they'd be saying, well, he's still playing. No, he's not playing. He's going back there, but he is in charge of, he's a mentor. So, life is funny.
I'll put that out there.
Life is funny. You don't know. You just don't know. In 20 years' time, Craig Brathwaite might be in that team as a mentor as well. But he, of course, would have been playing in 2023. And he might go back in 2043. You never know. All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being on tour. We'll be coming for you for the ODIs. And we'll be giving you some analysis then. And we look forward to give you that right here on FlowSports. On behalf of Tino Best and Ed Rainsford and Barry Wilkinson, bye-bye for now.